If you're not building a personal brand, what are you doing? Your personal brand is more important than ever, especially now. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the most overlooked and I would say the most valuable aspect of every personal brand. So if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to become more influential as a leader, or just represent yourself like a boss, then this episode is for you. I want to start by talking about why building a personal brand is one of the most important things that you can be doing right now. Because it's, in my opinion, it's not optional. And many people still treat it like it's optional. They feel like, well, look, Lou, I don't have a business. So I don't need to be building a personal brand. I only get on social media to connect with my friends. I only get on social media for entertainment. But building a personal brand is not limited to the walls and the confines of social media, right? And this becomes exposed when people view it that way, because some of the posts and comments that I see, it's like you really underestimate the power of personal branding. It's like, is that really the energy and the brand you want to be known for? Just saying, right? But building a personal brand is not limited to the walls and the confines of social media. And everybody has a personal brand, by the way, because who you show up as a person outside of social media is a part of building your brand. So when I say that everybody needs to be building a personal brand, what I'm saying is you need to be intentional about the brand that you are building. You need to be intentional about what you want to be known for, right? The type of person you want to be known for, who you are as a person, your characters, your values, your beliefs, how you treat people, all the things, right? I need you to understand this, because this is not just something that is going to cost you in the future. But this is something that is costing you opportunities right now. It's costing you better relationships. It's costing you more money. It's costing you a sense of growth within yourself. Because when you become intentional about the brand that you're building, you start to think things through, right? You start to identify what beliefs you want to have. Therefore, that would drive your behaviors, right? And give you certain results. You start to be intentional, right? Because like I say, where there is no intention, there is no ascension. Like, this is what I think. Businesses already look at your social media profiles to identify the type of person you are. But I think we're going to get to a point where if you don't have a personal brand, specifically on social media by default, right? It would create the idea in the person that is looking at your brand. It would create the idea that you have something to hide. I'm just saying. And it may not happen. But I think in how we're going in the world and the way things are moving and shaking, I believe that's the way it's going to be. People are going to look for your track record, and they're going to look for a certain consistency. Or they just might look for a certain consistency on your social media. So then when they meet you in person, to see if there is alignment between who you say you are and who you show up as on social media. I'm just saying. That is just my opinion and where I think we are going as a world and as a culture. Now, let's address the question of what is a personal brand. Because most people aren't building a personal brand, to be honest. Most people are building a performance brand. Meaning lights, camera, action, perform. That's what most people are building. Everything is, what can I do to get more followers? What can I do to get more likes? What can I do to have more status? Very few people are talking about, what can I do to become the person that I need to become to serve people, to serve the people that I need to serve or want to serve or is called to serve? I'll say that. Who do I need to become that's going to help serve the world in the best way possible? Utilizing my gifts, my talents, my skills, right? But when you get on social media and just talk a good game and have the likes, the logos, the followers, all the things, that is not a personal brand. The definition of a personal brand is the story that other people tell themselves about you. More importantly, it's the story they tell themselves because of you. And if you don't think that having a personal brand is important based off of that definition, man, you wildin'. Wildin'. Right? Because doors open for you because of the story that people tell themselves. Relationships are built because of the story that people tell themselves. People buy your stuff because of the story that they tell themselves about your stuff and about you. Think about it. Mercedes. When a person thinks about Mercedes, what do they think about? They think about luxury. They think about a luxury brand. When you think about Toyota, what do you think about? You think about reliability. You know that thing's going to ride 200, 300,000 miles if you take care of it. Right? If you think about the opposite of Apple, you're going to think about Samsung. Google has phones. Microsoft has phones. But that is the power of branding. It's the story that people tell themselves about you. More importantly, it's the story that they tell themselves because of you. That is a personal brand. So I need to ask you something. What story is being told about you? Seriously, take the time to ask yourself that question. What story is being told about you? More importantly, if you didn't have a chance to explain your story, what story are you communicating? If you didn't have a chance to open your mouth and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is the standards that I live by, what story are you communicating? And if you don't know, just take a look at your body. Because your body is a brand. It tells a story. Now, whether you agree with this concept or not, doesn't matter. It's just the way it is. Right? Our body is a reflection of our lifestyle, our daily habits, and how we live our lives from day to day. 90% of our actions, probably more than 90, are habit-based. Meaning we're thinking the same thoughts, we're moving in the same direction, we're going the same way, basically just going in circles. No type of pattern interrupt. We're just moving and operating on habit. And if you do that long enough, your body's going to reflect the beliefs, the standards, the self-respect that you have. It's going to tell a story. And this is something that most leaders completely ignore. I think they're aware of it. They just don't want to look at it. It's like self-reflection. It's like looking in the mirror. A brand is a story that people tell themselves about you. Right? But where do they get that story from? They only can get that story from one place. They only get that story from you. By what you communicate. Every brand is nothing more than a belief system. Because there's a certain set of beliefs that we live by, which then produces a behavior, which then gives us a result, right? Which then reaffirms that belief, and if we repeat the cycle again, belief, behavior, result. Belief, behavior, result. Right? So you do that enough times, people are able to develop a story about you. That's where they get the story from. So ask yourself the question, what does your body make people believe? What story does your physical appearance tell others about you? If you didn't have the opportunity to explain yourself. Well, yeah, man, like, I know, man, I just had me a rough season. I had this, I lost my job. I had this, this person passed away. I had all these circumstances. Like, you don't have any time to explain any of that. The only thing that you have is the physical evidence of the lifestyle you've been living for the past 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What is that story? Now, nobody wants to talk about that. All these branding specialists and gurus talking about, you need to build your personal brand by posting on Instagram once a day. Posting on Instagram 3 times a day. You need to make this type of content. I have an idea. You want to build your brand? How about you become the person worth listening to? How about that? How about you stop building a performance brand and you build a brand that aligns with who you are, that aligns with truth, that aligns with real ideas, that aligns with serving people? How about you build a brand on that? How about you build a brand of character, of values? I believe the best place to start in building your brand is with your body. Why? Because it's proof. Your body is the most visible evidence of your discipline, of your standards, of your level of self-respect. I've never known one person to get in shape and want to go back to being out of shape. Not one. Yet, everyone who gets in shape wishes they did it sooner and not later. Go figure. So let me ask you this. How many of you have ever read a book from back to front? Nobody. Not one person. Because if you're reading a book from back to front, you don't have the context of the earlier pages. You don't have the context of the information that you're reading. It's not going to land the same. You're going to be like, well, what framework are they talking about? What does this mean? What does that mean? Right? You don't know the author. You don't know why they're saying what they said. Right? You don't even know if you should trust the information or not, what you're reading on the page. Well, guess what? I got news for you. Your body is the introduction to your story. And here's the thing about introductions. People decide in the first few pages of a book whether they're going to keep reading or whether they're not going to buy it at all. They decide in the first few pages whether this book is worth their time, whether this author has a real story, whether they have something that is real to say, whether this book is even worth taking out of the store, spending my hard-earned money on. They decide that within the first few pages. Now, is the introduction the most impactful pages of the book? No, not even close. Nowhere near. But guess what? It is one of the most important. Because if no one is willing to read your story because of your introduction, you've lost. You can have the greatest story on earth, but if nobody is willing to read it, you've already lost. So ask yourself, is the introduction to your story, is it strong enough that makes people want to know more? Does it give people a reason to want to look further, to actually get to the good stuff? Because I believe that everybody has a story and everybody has something good within them. Everybody has something they can tell that's going to help somebody else. Every single person. Every single person has a story that is worth telling that could help somebody else. Every single person. And everybody knows something. Like there are plenty of people that know a whole lot more things than I do. Right? Because their experiences are different. They grew up in different locations. Their culture is different. They had different parents. Like it's totally different. So everybody has a story that is worth telling. And here's what most people don't realize. You have spent years developing the content of your story. Your character, your ideas, your skills, your experience, the gifts and talents that lie within you, how you want to serve the world, right? And I know that the story is powerful. I know the story is valuable. I believe that. Now, some people don't believe that about themselves, but I believe that, like I said, everybody has a story to tell and everybody has value to give to the world. Sometimes you just got to look for it. But if your introduction doesn't match the quality of what's inside, people will never get to the good stuff. Your body tells a story. Your body is your story. It is a part of your story. It is the introduction, but it's up to you to make sure that story is worth reading. I could end the episode right there, honestly. Your body communicates three things. I'm not going to do that to you. Your body communicates three things: your standards, your status, and self-respect. Your body tells the world, these are the standards that I set for myself. These are the things that I accept. These are the things that I allow, and these are the things I don't allow. It shows you have respect for your position of leadership. It tells the world that, like, this is how I really feel about myself. And look, we already live in a low trust environment. Can't trust AI. People are becoming harder and harder to trust. People are becoming harder and harder to take more serious because everybody wants to just do it for the gram. Do it for social media. Coming up with skits. You don't know what skits are real. You don't know what are fabricated. You got so many scams out there. But call me naive, call me crazy. I believe that people want to trust, which is why we subconsciously look for it. We want to live in a world where we can trust the person living next to us. We want to live in a world where we can go to the store and trust the people and know their names and trust that people would do the right thing. If we took a poll, I believe 99.9% of people would say, yes, I want to live in that type of world. There's this psychological principle called the halo effect, right? And the halo effect says that one positive attribute will cause people to assume that you're competent, that you're disciplined, that you're trustworthy in other areas too. Just one positive signal. One positive signal creates this halo around you. Think about like an angel. You know how the angel got the halo around the head? One positive signal creates a halo around everything else about you. I want you to take a moment and think about that for a second. And think about that in the context of your body. When someone sees a leader who is physically disciplined, who carries themselves with presence, with intention, their brain immediately, like you can't help it, their brain immediately goes to making assumptions. Oh man, this person's organized. This person got it together. Right? This person, they must be disciplined. You see the guns on them? You see that vein popping out? Oh yeah, they got theirs together. Right? They believe that this person can be trusted. And guess what? You didn't have to say a word. You didn't have to communicate any of that. You didn't have to say, oh, yes, I go to the gym every single day. I eat this type of diet. You didn't have to say anything. All you had to do was just show up. That's it. Just show up and let the results and the proof speak for themselves. But guess what? The reverse is also true. And it works the exact same way. They call this the horn effect. So if you think about like the devil, right? How there's two horns, call this the horn effect. One negative attribute causes people to assume the worst about you and everything else. I didn't make this stuff up. These are psychological principles. These are things that have been studied. Go do your research for yourself. One signal of neglect, one signal of inconsistency, one signal of sloppiness will suddenly make people doubt you in other areas too. They'll make you doubt the fact that you're going to keep your word to yourself. They will make you doubt the fact that you are a person with a decent character, that you're a disciplined person. And not saying that it's everything. Many people push past it. But why would you want to start yourself in the hole? That's the question. Why start yourself in the hole? Right? And this is not about vanity. This is not about looking good. Because me personally, I don't care if you have 6-pack abs or 8-pack abs, or I don't care if you have biceps and triceps and all the things. Don't care how big your back is. Don't care how many pull-ups you can do. Don't care how many push-ups you got. I don't care. It's not about looking good. It's not about the looks. It's more so about what it represents. It's about character. It's about you showing up every single day for yourself with a standard. It's about the signals that you are sending to the world, because anybody can talk about it. but very few will actually put in the work and do something about it. And look, if there was another way to show the same thing, I personally, I would do it. I don't necessarily love going to the gym every single day. I don't necessarily love the process, but I do love who it has helped me to become. I do love the evidence and the proof that it has given me for myself. I do love that. So I'm not bound to the idea of creating a strong body, of using health and fitness as a way to help you in your business and your leadership and your standards. I'm not bound to that idea. But guess what? I've just never found anything else that's able to communicate the proof like a strong and fit body. Nothing. Now, your body is not just a brand to everyone else, right? To the outside world. But it's also a brand to yourself. It's also a brand into building the character and building the standards within yourself. Because every single time you show up for yourself when nobody's watching, when it's early, when it's hard, when you don't feel like it, there is something that happens to you on the inside. Something that can't be faked, it can't be bought, it can't be inherited. You can't go and borrow it from somebody. It's what we call evidence. It's what we call proof. Right? It's a track record that only you can have and that you keep internally. It's not something that you broadcast to everybody else. You can broadcast it if you want. But even if you broadcast it, it's something that you just have in your pocket for yourself. It is a reminder to yourself that, you know what? I said that I was going to do this thing, and I did it. I went out and I challenged myself, and guess what? I didn't quit. It may have gotten difficult. The challenges may have got harder. But guess what? I didn't quit. I kept showing up. When it was inconvenient, I kept showing up when I didn't feel like it. I kept showing up when everybody called me crazy. And guess what? I came out on the other side of it. That's what we call evidence. Right? And that evidence continues to accumulate the more you do it. So it builds something within inside yourself. It builds a sense of fortitude. Right? And it builds something that everybody, I believe, desperately needs if you want to be successful. Right? That internal resilience, that mental fortitude to be able to push past the challenge. And at the end of the day, it's all about the process anyway. Who cares about the results? It's about the process and who you become and the evidence that you now have. Because once it's over and you get it, it lasts maybe a day, couple days. After that, it's on to the next mountain. Got to start all over. Right? So building your body as your brand is one of the most important aspects of building a personal brand. And the thing that is most overlooked. Right? Now let's get into some tactics. Let's talk about how do we actually build a body that commands respect as a leader. Get your pen, get your paper out, get your phone out, whatever you want to do to write this stuff down. I'm going to give you the game plan. In terms of food, that's where we're going to start. Like, how do you eat like a high performer? How do you eat like a leader that is wanting to fuel your body? Because this is not like in business and in leadership, you got to understand the arena that you're in. Right? Everybody's not looking to become a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders, they got a certain regiment, they have a certain structure, they have a certain way they need to eat in order to create the physique they're looking for. Leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, right? Whether you have a business or whether you're just leading your family, whether you're just leading yourself, there's a certain standard that you have to eat with, because your goal is to eat and fuel for performance, to show up in your family, to show up in your business, to show up for those around you, right? You're not worried about a physique. Yes, your physique and your body will resemble the discipline that you put forth, but you don't need to be 7% body fat, 5% body fat, right? Having veins popping out everywhere. You don't need, because that's not the goal, right? You're not looking to get on stage. You're doing this for lifestyle. You're doing this to be strong, to show up for those around you. So you have to eat like a leader. You have to eat like a CEO, not a bodybuilder, right? There's a key distinction there. Now, in order to fuel yourself as a high performer and as a leader, this is what you eat: meat, fish, eggs, fruit, veggies, potatoes. If you want some dessert, add some Greek yogurt in there. That's it. It's not complicated. You don't need this complex meal plan. All you need is just whole foods, 85 to 90% whole foods. That's it. Do that 5 days a week minimum, right? Next, you just want to move your body 5 days a week minimum. I personally prefer and suggest working out in the morning, 30 minutes minimum. And I say working out in the morning because how you start your day sets the standard for everything else that follows. Everything. When you win the morning, you're able to walk into the day with evidence already in your pocket, right? You're able to say, I already did something hard. I already did something that challenged myself. I already showed up when I didn't feel like it. I showed up for myself. And guess what? That energy and that confidence, you get to carry that with you throughout the whole day. You get to carry it with you through every single decision that you make. It's not complicated. This is simple stuff. It's all about getting back to the basics. Like when you can get back to the basics and the simplicities of life, that's when things start to change. That's when you stop overcomplicating things and you start executing the way you need to execute. It's foundational stuff. Now, I know some of y'all may be sitting there like, that sounds too good to be true. That sounds too simple. It is simple. And that's the problem. People want to overcomplicate things. My business coach likes to say that most people are heartaholics. You give them the simple way and they'll find a way to make it complicated. Complicators. Right? Because we have been conditioned to think that if it's simple or if it's not complicated, it doesn't work. But the simple things is not complicated. It's not hard to do. Discipline is not complicated. Consistency is not complicated. But where people struggle is doing the simple things for a long period of time. They get bored with it. But you can't get bored with it, right? As long as you can keep things simple, the longer you can keep things simple, the more likely you are to sustain the results. Simplicity is the key to execution and success. But the moment you stop keeping things simple is the moment that everything falls apart. Everything. But hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this with somebody you feel might be able to benefit from this content. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.